Hey guys, my name is Brittany Herring, and I'm going to take a few minutes tonight to talk to you about postmodern theory. So, to get started, postmodern theory focuses on deconstructing common beliefs and examining the client's values of their life in general. So, an example of this would be postmodern therapists questioning the definition of mental health as a whole, as well as commonly held assumptions, maybe that of the definition of success, or even what it means to be an adolescent. So, the relationship between the client and the therapist in terms of postmodern theory is highly collaborative and tends to steer away from authoritative in terms of the therapist. So there are three main types of theory included within the postmodern theory: narrative, solution-focused, and collaborative language systems. To give you a better definition of the three, narrative therapy is based on two principles. One, that all human thought and behavior exist in cultural contexts that hold either meaning or significance to that individual. Two, people's view of the world is shaped through a generally unconscious process of sifting through experiences and selecting that one that is most consistent with the story that they hold true to themselves. Solution-focused therapy emphasizes the construction of solutions to problems instead of examining the cause of that problem or even how they were maintained. This approach is significantly briefer in comparison to that of traditional psychotherapy and rests on the belief that clients can solve their problems by doing something that was successful for that individual in their past. Collaborative language systems is a type of postmodern theory that works through problems with conversation and emphasizes that collaborative conversation and maintains a partnership between the client and the therapist. So these theorists believe that change comes about primarily through that open conversation that is held through the client and the therapist, as well as believing that realities do not exist independent of the observational process, and a believer in subjective realities cannot exist independent of the observational process that was used. They particularly believe that problems exist when people agree that there is a problem that needs to be addressed. And these problems should be addressed through postmodern theory. So the benefits of postmodern theory would include that of stress reduction, improved insight and understanding, conflict resolution, and even a greater sense of happiness and well-being for that individual. The disorders that are particularly benefited from postmodern theory would be eating disorders, depression, addiction, ADHD, and schizophrenia. One essential thing a counselor in training should know about using postmodern theory in the counseling session is not to confront or even challenge the narrative of the client, but focus more on facilitating the telling and retelling of the story until opportunities for new meaning and new stories develop. This will allow the client and the therapist to maintain that conversation and allow for the client to work through their problems. So I hope you've learned something from this video tonight, and thank you for listening.